Let me starting. Okay, so let me present. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically where we stopped last class was we just proved that the velocity of light is there. There's this proof that Sommerfeld and Brillouin provided to find out the velocity of light, to prove that uh, light cannot move at, or like no signals can be transmitted at velocities greater than c. And that was one nice takeaway from this whole treatment that we are doing, though I should say that that is not really uh, I mean, directly connected to the Kramer's chronic relationships, which is a different matter altogether. Where we, again, as I am trying to point out always in the course of this class, that we are trying to look at a real problem, and the real problem is just trapping particles, very very small particles, nanoparticles, microparticles, using light. And one of the issues that will come there will be the choice of wavelength, because while the energy of the light is not really important in this kind of trapping mechanisms, yet the wavelength is crucial, because it allows you to the wavelength basically decides the amount of absorption or transmission through the particle, and that is of very very crucial importance, because if the particle absorbs from the light, it will start getting heated up, it will get heated up, and then the Brownian motional charge increase, as a result of which it will diffuse about very very fast in the fluid, and therefore you need much higher potential depths in order to confine the particle. That is very crucial. So the Kramer's Tronic relation. So we have actually studied till now how the optical properties of materials uh, generally evolve, and also how they change with frequency of light. And now we are going into more depth, where we're actually showing that. So we have actually come across so how a material responds to light is in the form of the refractive index, which has both real and imaginary components. And the real part deals with the transmission of light, imaginary part deals with the absorption of light. And we show now these set of relationships, which basically are known as the Kramer's chronic relationships, which were done, of course, by this physicist. The two physicists named Kramer's and Kronig. I think both were German, and they evolved this very very interesting way of uh, e- sort of making a relationship between the real part and the imaginary part of the refractive indices, and of refractive index, that is. So we know that, as we said, that the imaginary part is for absorption. And if you want to evaluate, if you want to really measure it, at times that might become a problem, because of if you want to really know all the absorption property of a material across a very large frequency range, then experiments may be difficult, because the source of light might be tough. Here what you can do is, you can actually try to measure just the transmittance over so the difficulty is not just the source of light. The difficulty also lies in so absorption is always more difficult to measure than transmission. That also should be clear, because it is actually measuring a loss, whereas transmission has much more throughput, much more signal. So you can actually probably sort of get ideas about. And what is most crucial in Kramer's cornering is, you need not measure across the whole frequency range. So you measure at one range of the other parameter, that is maybe the transmission, at one frequency, and using that you can actually get the absorption at a different frequency, which is the really interesting part. Okay, and these set of relationships are also called the causality or and dispersion relations. Dispersion is quite obvious, because we are looking at how frequency properties evolve. Causality is comparatively more tricky, And the reason that we think of causality here is we are dealing with times and frequencies here, and it is very very important to know about the order of things. If I say that something happens at time t, it is very important to note whether things that happened only, I mean that the so something that happened at t will influence events that happen after it. Okay, so you have something which is happening at a certain instant of time, and then because of that later events occur, which is very important to note. Okay, so as we just named this the causality and dispersion relations. And what we are saying is that there is a cause ut and an effect et. So what are, can you give me some examples of this? Example of cause effect? Yeah. Yeah. Ah. Again, everybody is totally silent. Can you hear me or what?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, so क्या बोलो? What do you think is a what example can we think of a cause which gives rise to an effect?
First harmonic oscillator.
What is the cause and what is the effect?
The cause is the first,
Okay, that
as the
is one.
oscillating force,
Yes,
and the displacement is the effect.
but in the context of what we are studying, in the context of what we are studying, can we think of something? Yeah, what we have studied till now, something that leads to the other. I mean, what is a practical example of this?
So then, electric field is the first, like the light
Exactly.
pass
So electric field gives rise to what?
polarization, oscillation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the electric field gives rise to a polarization. Exactly so. Right? So basically, what we have is P equal to chi of omega E, and this is the factor. This is the all important what we will study later. This is called the weight factor. So this kind of decides how much of the how much of the effect will be happening due to this cause, like what amount of cause will lead to how much effect. This is very crucial, and this is where the dispersion really lies. This is where the dispersion basically lies. This factor, this weight factor, which we shall perceive in both the time and the frequency domains, that is essentially what decides the dispersion. Okay. So and then of course in the time domain we typically talk, it is that is where the causality aspect comes in. Let me say that when we take t minus t dashed, we always say that that is positive quantity. T dash occurs after t. That is crucial. So so if you write like this fashion, so this is a great example. So we kind of do write down some Fourier relationships. So acha, I'm sort of preempting this. Going to be pretty large number of mathematical stuff, relations that we have to solve. I mean, we had sort of have to write down and note here. So this is quite completely mathematical. So if you guys anyway feel that we can, we are missing out some, or we can, draw extensions to some nice physics, I will be very, very happy. Sorry. This, and you have E of t as d of omega. Okay. So we are saying now some those properties come in, that we say first thing is that given, since given that ut and et are real, u omega and e omega need to obey the following characteristics. Basically, what is very crucial, there are the set of relations called the crossing relationships. Okay. So basically, it's very obvious that if this is real, this is quite obvious, it's completely obvious. And this, however, implies something which is not so obvious, and that is something which is going to use quite a bit. This is called a crossing relationship. So can we prove this? Similarly, of course, E omega is E star of minus omega. Can we just prove this? Have you guys done this somewhere? Huh? Have you guys done this somewhere? Oh, what the hell, man? Why does it not? Yeah, this crossing relation, have you sort of heard of this? See, this is important, remember, because we are talking about minus infinity to infinity. So essentially we will need to show that the negative frequencies and all are something which we will not have, we will essentially ignore. Can you just, so the proof is very simple actually. So you have not heard of this before, is it?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So basically, if you just, this is very easy actually. So just think of this. So I can just write this. So I can obviously use the first part, that is the u equal to u star part, that I can use. Since I just write this as u star of omega, I take the complex conjugate, right? So I can write this as e to the I omega t d omega. And then if I write
Omega dash is minus omega or something.
yeah, exactly. Basically, if you just do that, it's gonna be, if you just do a variable transform, put this omega to minus whatever omega dash or something, then it'll very clearly come out simply. It's quite obvious, right? So this will become minus of, if I just, so this is a bit tricky. Okay, so this is infinity to minus infinity u star of minus omega dash. This is e to the minus uh, omega dash t and d omega dash. Is this correct?
Yes, sir.
So then it's very clear, right? This is quite simple, right? Straightforward, right? So
So
then
And
very,
does the word
we can
crossing
call
has
omega
any
dash as omega
significance?
again.
what?
This the word crossing, does this have any significance or is it like just a name?
Yeah, yeah. We are going to come to that. Don't worry. We are going to come to that. So basically, we are going to prove that. See, we are going to prove that we are going to consider positive frequencies only. I mean, obviously that there is definitely significance. नहीं तो क्यों करेंगे? Okay. So this we have proved that. So basically, this is from. It is clear that u of omega is u
Sir, I
star
was
of.
asking about the name, like crossing. That's
Oh,
it.
crossing
Not
क्यों
not
बोलता है?
not
I don't know.
not the concept. That is
I don't
definitely
know.
important.
I I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, no. Sorry, I have no idea whether crossing has
So
any
can you repeat the
importance.
question? Like I didn't get it.
No. So question male, what Hitesh is asking is this name crossing relationship, does that have any significance? Okay. So that I yeah. So let me just nicely, since you're saying that this is important, let me write this
Sir,
nicely.
you can just press back.
Oh, back. Yeah, right. No, I want to write this big actually. Crossing. अभी back में lot everything would have disappeared. Okay, so now it stands out big. Let me see. Acha. So now what we are going to basically show is that negative frequencies are gone. Okay, that is what we are going to show next. And so basically we are going to do a consistency check, right? We have said, I mean, see, this is the fun of physics. Okay, I mean, you start with an assumption. That assumption gives you some other thing, and then you show that if I use that other thing, I can mathematically show that my assumption was valid. Okay, so it's like some kind of internal consistency check. Okay, let me write this properly. So we are basically going to say now that we are not going to use negative frequencies, those are unnecessary. uh, to show that negative frequencies are not to be considered. Okay, so again we write something like this: minus infinity to infinity u of omega d of omega e to d minus I omega t. So I break this down. Change it to 0, u omega d omega e to the minus I omega t plus 0 to infinity, same thing. So you can guess what I'm going to do, right? Again, I'm going to put this, replace omega 2 minus omega dash, and this one, the first one. This is my problem, right? This is the one that I've got to take care of. So very clearly, this will become minus infinity to 0 u of minus omega dashed d of minus omega dashed e to the I omega t plus 0 to infinity I dashed, sorry, 0 to infinity 0 to omega d omega e to d minus I omega t. Again, use the same things, our favorite crossing relations. So then what will this become? ये this will ये एक negative माने ये 0 to infinity एक बार दो बार negative, so I will basically put this as d omega u star omega e to the I omega t plus u of omega e to the minus I omega t. Okay, is this fine? It's fine ना? दो बार negative है, so I will change this from 0 to infinity. ये negative sign आएगा, that will get absorbed, and I know that minus of omega is
Not
u
U star, sir. Only U.
t. हाँ, wrong. Huh? It is basically no. No, ये ठीक ही है ना?
U of
U
no,
U
U of
of
minus omega equals to U omega.
हाँ
U
हाँ
star.
हाँ हाँ, correct. I don't need no, but okay, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. Right, right, exactly. Hmm.
Sir, I think the limit in the second last step should be infinity to zero, not minus infinity to zero.
No, I actually
After you change the omega to omega dash,
एक
should be
minus omega बाहर okay, there should be a minus there, no? हाँ.
the
ये should there should be a
plus into
minus here, right?
zero.
I have no, but I have put here as d minus. मैं तो ये बाहर
Oh,
नहीं लिया.
that is fine.
Oh,
I'm just this limit.
अच्छा
The
ये
lower
minus क्यों है?
That won't be there, sir.
That is not be there. अरे ये बोलोगे ना? ये कहाँ से आ गया? ये नहीं है. ये wrong है. अभी तो ठीक है ना? अभी I think it's right. I have not put this minus outside. Then this becomes 0 to infinity.
Sir, that minus sign is
Oh,
correct, but the limit in the integration, the lower limit of integration should be infinity to zero.
but I have not taken the negative sign out, na? If I
Sir,
take
not
the
that.
negative side out, then this becomes in 0 to infinity, right?
Okay.
I've still kept this in. I've kept this at minus d, right? So basically, there are two steps. One is I have got the crossing relation working, and now I use the fact that u of omega is u star omega. So both of them I sort of put here.
That
Uh,
is fine, sir.
I, yeah, it's fine, I guess, huh? I think it's
Yes,
fine,
sir. Because you have
right?
put minus omega
Oh,
prime and not
I have
omega
put
prime.
minus omega around. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. है ना? So abhi agar we take something like acha, this one should be not write u
No,
star of
sir,
omega.
previous line will be U star minus omega.
Ha,
Previous
exactly.
line.
This is wrong. Yes, correct. This is correct. This is right. Now this is right. Yes. Now this is correct. एक गलती कहीं पे था, right? Now this is consistent. Okay, so now we say that u of omega, we can easily assume that to be so a half factor I'm taking because वो normalize करने के लिए something like say e to the some I omega theta of omega. This is some amplitude term and phase term. So now what the important part is that if I say, so this theta comes as a phase, okay, as an additional sort of phase, because I'm saying that at
So
t equal to
then there will be no omega. E to the power I theta,
where
right? You are taking
ah,
R e to the power I theta.
right. Yes, you're right. So basically, if so this is some amplitude term and phase part. So then what you will have for your ut is nothing but 1 by root of 2 pi 0 to infinity d of omega r of omega e to the I omega No, wait. No, but Vishwajit, I want to take this whole thing as. No, I think it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Omega t minus theta of omega plus e to the minus I omega t minus theta of omega. Okay. So that means obviously this is nothing but cos, which clearly says that this is given by sum d omega r omega cos of omega t minus theta omega, right? So then this is telling you that I basically care only about the real frequency, real, this is a real function which consists of only the positive frequencies, right? So clearly this is a real function with which contains which contains only positive frequencies. Okay. So this is my, see again, this whole thing was an exercise in consistency check. Okay, that I started with an assumption, I went through some stuff, then I said that if I assume this, if I assume this and I got certain consequences, those consequences are not mathematically unfounded. I can essentially retrieve my assumption by using those consequences properly. I'm not violating any sort of, my the mathematics is sound, and very importantly, I also get some important simplicities in my calculation. I'm now seeing that I can forget about these negative frequencies and all. I can basically live with some, real frequencies, which again help us to correlate directly with experiments. Remember, theoretically, there is no problem in considering negative frequencies. It's only when you do the experiment that that becomes completely difficult or like very impossible to even imagine. However, the whole premise of the Kramers-Kronig theory on this whole, approach is such that you absolutely throw out things which do not have link with experiments. So that is actually very important. So now we will consider some very other very crucial properties, and that is basically defining, the the one of the most important prerequisites for this whole thing to work. And I will, we'll just we will indulge in some discussion here, because I think you guys need to understand, visualize this in a very appropriate manner. Okay, so causality, what is it all about? What are we trying to say? So see, we have been continuously harping on something, right? We are saying that there's a linear theory. It's a linear response. Okay, where does that come in? Why is that important? That is extremely, crucial for you to appreciate, for you to understand, in order to, get a picture of all this that we're talking about. So again, remember, what we are saying is that, so we consider a an effect et sorry due to a cause, due to a cause ut. Okay, the effect is linear, and I should not say dash. And so what do you think, what do you guys think when I say that the effect is linear? What is the defining, mathematical relationship, or how do I understand a linear process? What will I say is going to happen? I mean, if I want to quantify or mathematically write down the meaning of this linearity and all that, what does it mean? So I'm giving you some kind of, so suppose I say that u gives e1, rather, sorry, u1 leads to e1 and u2 leads to e2. What is the, when I say, and if I have to impose this linearity condition, what is it that I should have? What is it that I should have which will impose very strictly this linearity condition?
The Laplacian of u should be 0.
Laplacian of u?
Should be 0.
That is one. That is a very, I mean, simply socho thoda. I mean,
So
yeah, that is right, but uske, हाँ.
su- superposition principle that u1 plus u2 lead to e1 plus e2.
Very good. Very, who is this?
Yes, sir.
Sakshi. Very nice. So basically, alpha u1 plus beta u2, that has to be alpha e1 plus beta e2. This is tremendously important. This is absolutely very, very important. If this is violated, then the whole premise will go. This is extremely crucial. Okay. So what that means, however, is if I write again in terms of an integral equation. So this part you guys appreciate, right? This is very important. So in terms of an integral equation, basically what I mean is that g of dt dash. So this is like a Green's function. Now, have you done Green's function, by the way, guys? Huh?
Yes
Yeah.
and no.
What a fantastic answer. What does that mean? Is that Hitesh?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
and no. Both superposition principle in there also.
No,
Yeah.
sir,
Huh?
we should have known, but we don't.
That is horrible. Why? It is not
Sir,
covered. It is not
sir, it
completed.
was no, sir. It was covered, but it was covered in the end, and it was hurried, so we couldn't get the
Oh
we couldn't
God.
get the concept
Guys,
properly.
तुम लोग का ना बहुत बम्बू लगने वाला है. I hope you guys are, I don't know, man. You should basically ask for maybe, some extra classes or something for these. I mean, green function and all, if you guys going to finish, are going to, do a MSc in physics and you have not really covered this properly, I mean, when you come back, I'm sure you're going to come back at some point of time. I think you just ask for some separate lectures. I mean, you can ask, maybe catch hold of ADG or, people like those NB or somebody who are, very, very adept at mathematical physics, and just ask for some 5 or 10 lectures. I mean, these things are extremely crucial, very, very crucial. So please, yeah, do not compromise on this. I mean, you've been very unlucky, I know, but I mean, still, I mean, you can't, we have to do something about it, right? Not just crib. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is this is, I'm not going to write that. I'm going to say this is a weight function. But very crucially, what it says, what is the meaning of this, is that it weighs distinct causes at a time t dash, which causes effects at time t, which is extremely important. This is extremely important. Now, okay, so where do you think is the effect of, the assumption of causality? Where will that come in? The requirement of causality, what will that impose? Huh? Yeah. What will causality impose on t dash and t? What?
T should be after T dash.
Exactly. since UT and ET follow. See, these are, I hope, see, I don't know man, whether you guys appreciate this, but there are many things which we take for granted in life. Okay. Things like time, is there's an arrow of time. I light, our arrow goes in one direction, time always increases. These are things which we never question at all, right? I mean, if somebody can says the opposite, we consider them either magicians. Some people consider them magicians. Some people consider them mad, right? But it is only scientists who actually understand what happens if that is not the case. It is very, very crucial. That is what differentiates a scientist from a person who is not trained in science, because you know what exactly is going to happen if, I mean, at this point of time, we are almost casually saying, as Rohan said, that uh, T has to follow T dash. That is of immense importance. If that were not to happen, a lot of physical phenomena would just not happen the way we see them to be. Do you appreciate this? This is very important. If somebody tells you that, okay, time has to increase, time increases, so it is you who are trained as a scientist who can actually tell them that if time does not increase, or if things like causality, which is another thing, which is, these things are all tied together. So if cause does not produce an effect which comes after the cause, then lots and lots of physical phenomena, the world would be quantitatively different from what we are seeing, what we see, what we observe, what we measure. So that is what we have to appreciate. I mean, that is what is called imbibing. Okay, I know I'm talking, these are not whatever, these are out of, I hope these are not out of context, because I think these are very, very important, because you always need to understand what makes you different from other human beings as a scientist, because that develops the passion in you. Okay, so as Rohan just said, follow the principles of causality. T dash has to be before T. That is super crucial. Okay, and therefore I can sort of write this cause and effect formula succinctly as we would not have been able to write this if this were not the case. Okay, as an example, let us just consider, I'll give you one very simple example, that is the current in a circuit, electric current in a circuit. Okay, so I will say that I want us to just discuss this for a second. So current, I am making this statement, current in an electric circuit depends on factors. Let me write this down, then we'll discuss. Depends on factors after closing the switch. What is a very crucial assumption here? What is a very crucial assumption here? Can you tell me?
Closing the switch
That
causes
is that
the
is
flow
an
of energy.
assumption, big assumption that I'm making here. What do you think that is? Think of it. Think of it deeply. Don't assume anything, please. There are, see, the whole question, whole, thing that makes science so nice, so quantitative, so sort of so-called free from so-called biases, is that every hypothesis, every scientific hypothesis that you make are falsificable. Do you understand what falsificability means? Please, important, yeah, please respond. Do you understand what falsification means?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
What? What does falsificability mean in science? That is a
It
very
means
premier, important, requirement for any scientific theory or hypothesis. Have you not heard of this word?
sir.
So we have.
Please. Are yaar, why do you not answer? Somebody at least answer, yeah.
Sir, I think it basically means any theorem could be at least
Huh?
any theorem you make or any law you make,
Hello
it
there,
should
can you
be.
hear me?
Oh, am I audible?
Hello?
Sir, I think your internet is not working properly.
Am I there in the call or not? Absolute silence?
Sir's internet is not working.
Oh, shit.
Sir, can you hear us?
I can see mics unmuted, but I can't hear anything. Guys, am I there in the call?
You are there, but
Yes.
I think you can't hear us.
Hello there.
Hello. Sir, we can hear. Oh, you can hear us.
I think something has happened.
Wait, has.
Oh, you can hear me, then why aren't you saying something? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, shucks, man. Okay, so let me just. Shit, this is horrible, no? I can't hear you. So you guys are talking. Oh, shucks, something is wrong. Okay, I'll leave and join. This is the only way out, na? I can't hear you at all. Damn, man, really horrible. One minute, my mic is very low. What's this mic gone crazy? Hello, just say something, guys.
Hello, sir.
Okay, damn, my mic had gone to zero somehow. No, my hearing, not. I have a headphone on. I was not hearing anything because this has gone down to 2%. Okay, bolo. Now it's okay. It's not the network. Yeah, tell me. So do you understand what falsificability means?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Anirudh.
So basically, any theory has a way in which we can either say that it is true or it is false. Like there is a way that we can show either of them. Like it can either be proved false or proved true.
Yes. So basically, what Anirudh is not being precise. So basically, what you can say is that every theory will work under certain assumptions. There are certain boundary conditions within which the theory works, and if you remove those, it will not work. It can be falsified. It can be shown that if you change certain assumptions, if you change certain boundaries of working, it will collapse. It has to happen. Very crucial. You have to define the moment you say, you give a theory, give a hypothesis, you have to lay down also what are the limits within which it works, and you have to show that if you break those limits or if you change some assumptions, you can actually falsify the theory. You can show that it doesn't work. That is very important. So what my question here is, I just to give you this thing that current in a circuit depends on factors only after the circuit is completed by closing the switch. So I'm saying, what are my inherent assumptions in saying this? I have assumed certain things. What are those? Very crucial thing I have
Closing the
assumed.
switch causes the flow of current.
No, that is fine. That Ohm's law,
Closing the switch is the cause and current is the effect.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. But remember, Anirudh, there are certain assumptions I've made. First, I'm saying that there is only cause and effect. Everything that happens to the circuit, I'm saying is only and only because I closed the switch at time t. Nothing that happened at an instant of time before t is affecting the circuit at all. This is what I am very boldly saying. I'm asking you, is this universally true? Where and what conditions can make this falsified? When can I be utterly wrong?
So you can repeat the experiments at different times and see if you get different results.
That is okay. That Anirudh, you're saying when how I can prove that I'm correct. I am saying, can there be a situation where I close the circuit and things happen to the circuit which are not due to just my closing, or the circuit had some memory. You understand? Something happened before my closing,
But there can be a
which is
capacitor
bolo?
discharging. There can be a
What?
capacitor which is discharging even if you
Ah,
don't.
acha, yeah, that is a very good point. I did not mention if I don't have capacitor. Yes, if I have a capacitance, that's a very good point. So what Rohan has said, that is extremely interesting, because he's saying that a capacitor I had which was already charged. Okay,
So a
so
more simpler one could be the temperature of the wire. Like if you keep it on for a long time, it can get heated up.
absolutely right. Very nice. You can have a certain. Yes, great. Let us just write. When can this be violated? Let us say one. What did Rohan say? Presence of a capacitor in the circuit. Anirudh says temperature of the wire, heat can change. This is actually very nice, and this is
The
actually okay. So
presence of
uh,
a time-varying magnetic field.
very good. Time varying, but okay. So you're saying a separate, different, another magnetic sort of independent magnetic
Yes,
source.
sir. External
Ah,
magnetic field.
no, okay. Presence of a magnetic field. You're saying, right?
Yes, externally time-varying magnetic field.
What else? So we are. So see, this has. Okay, yeah. This is some of this is kind of, yeah. I mean, all of these are also looking at linearity, but yeah. Okay, very good. Something else. Yeah, linearity also. We are getting, we're addressing by this, because yes, both causality as well as linearity. But there is some other very interesting thing which can actually, yeah. Let me think. Some other stuff that you have in mind. Other stuff. Some other stuff that you can think. Huh? So one thing that you guys have to, consider, again, your electronics is, so what Anirudh said, this temperature of the wires, but there is also things called time dependent resistors. This is very crucial. There are all kinds of resistors which happen, which might, so things like, resistors which change when I have, which are like light dependent, which are sound dependent, all kinds of things, right? So suppose I call these, I sort of branch these as time dependent resistors, because suppose I had, before I close the circuit, suppose I had shown a torch, okay, and then I close the circuit, then very clearly this resistor is going to remember that, right? And therefore what I'm going to get is something different. I have sort of memory, you can say, of a time which was before this act of closing the switch. So you have to understand that when I say that A leads to B, A happens in a time before B, and only A leads to B, there are a host of assumptions which I'm making. All a violation of any of these can lead to the falsification of that assumption. Even if you have, say, a resistor which has some kind of a, say, a piezo or something, whatever, which has a nonlinear dependence, that also might be problematic. You will see that as I increase the voltage, this changes in a very different way. Okay, and that happens means, again, this theory of this extremely powerful theory which we call the linear response theory, that actually does not stand. So is this clear? Are you getting a picture of what we are trying to do? That is what I really insist on. Try to get a picture. That is the whole reason I thought of this experiment. Before we started this theory, this whole course. Huh? If you have any questions, just let us discuss this. I'm going to start the Kramer-Kronig proper dispersion relations on Monday. I'll just finish off with some very simple things today. But we can, yeah, if you have anything in mind, let us discuss that as well. Okay.
Sir, I
Okay.
have a question.
Bolo. Bolo.
Sir, like the statement that is made, it's like a switch is the cause and current is the effect.
Hmm.
And and you're talking about this resistors. So I'm
Yeah.
not very sure how this violates like the statement that is given.
No, what I'm saying is you are essentially, so there is some kind of a, say, a circuit like that. Like this, okay, and I'm saying that I put down this switch and immediately everything happens once this is done. There is nothing that has influenced any of this at, so I do that at time t or something, and then if I measure at, so let me say switch closed at at time t, if I measure at time t1, only what happened at t that contributes. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say.
That's
If,
why,
as I
sir,
said, this has,
temperature and all thing has no effect on this. So
na
he has
temperature,
a point.
na, but what, so Bishojit, what Anirudh said was, suppose I have, closed this at some point and everything got hot, then I removed this, and before it managed to come to room temperature, again I close the switch, right? So then that this will have the memory of what happened before I had closed the switch. So obviously a,
Sir, in the statement, there is
No,
this words that it depends on factors.
huh?
So isn't like this does not violate if like the temperature changes, because that is already there in the statement that it will depend on factors after we close the
Okay,
switch.
yeah, temperature change, you can say that this was, yeah, so that actually, that is probably right. So basically
of
what you're,
everything, sir. Temperature, external magnetic field, that does not depend. That does not create any memory. That's my
no,
point.
but this one will, right? No, but that I can't say, in the sense that if I had, so what I'm saying, Vishwajit, if I had this, and suppose I close the magnetic field before I turn the circuit on, okay, then the cause of this has gone, but this still has something which is going to change the value irrespective of my closing the switch. That is what I'm saying. Okay, all these
Sir,
effects will happen irrespective of my closing the switch.
sir, what Hitesh said, that could imply that
uh,
anything, like any memory that we have from the previous time,
uh,
that could be explained as a factors that you've mentioned over there, like any temperature or any other thing that is left from
yeah,
previous
but
use,
What
that
no,
could be
what I
explained in terms
understood
of
from the
effects,
statement.
right? Like the
no,
factors that are.
yeah, but again, Anirudh, so the issue there is, see, what I'm trying to say here is the cause here, because I close the switch, that is the only thing that causes a certain amount of current, which is perhaps given by these values of voltage and resistance and all, which are the only things which would sort of contribute to the current flowing in the system.
And about that capacitor thing, that has to be charged, because otherwise, if a certain capacitor is there,
That will not matter. That is
in the
absolutely
circuit,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
circuit
yeah.
you can
Charge. I
do.
should write charge. That is correct. That is right. That is right. If it is discharged, doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't matter. That is absolutely right. It has to be a charged capacitor. That we all agree. But what we are saying is, if we had, for example, if I had a light dependent LDR, as they are called, light dependent resistor. Okay. So suppose I change this. I had the circuit closed, but I switch on the light. That will basically again change something which is irrespective of this.
Sir, even
Okay.
if you have uncharged capacitor,
Huh?
even then this is violated because the statement should stand at all times. So once you close the switch and you break it, then when you
Mhm.
again close it, then this will affect, right? Because then your capacitor will be charged.
Yeah,
No,
no, no, no, no. But then suppose I have discharged the capacitor before I turned on the switch. The capacitor doesn't have any effect, right? I mean, it'll. So suppose you already have a capacitor here. So there is a certain, how the system will behave, right? It is known that when you close it, this will behave like that. You know exactly. You can predict it exactly. But suppose it were already charged and then it is discharging, and you had this thing open and then you close this, then that kind of affects the system in a way which is not dependent on the switch getting closed,
Yes,
because circuit. Yeah,
that is fine. Like what my
that is
point
what
was,
I'm saying. Ha
this statement should be valid for all times.
ha ha ha. Of course.
So
Now, in a sense,
in
all
one case it
times.
is uncharged, that we know. But once the capacitor is charged after you
Ha
close the switch,
ha.
then when next time you will close
Then
the
it's valid
switch,
for all time.
this will
That
affect.
is valid for all time if I keep the switch closed. But suppose I open the switch, and then after some time again I closed it, and by
Yeah,
that
so
time this has not discharged.
so
That's the
in
thing I'm
first
saying.
case this will not be violated, but in the second case this will
Yeah.
be violated.
Yes.
So
Yes. Exactly. In the second case, it will be violated. So that is the interesting part that we have to note. But this temperature part, that I agree, kind of, in a sense that I know the temperature of the system at one point of time, at the time that I am sort of closing the switch. So that might lead to results which I am expecting.
and sir, you are saying that Ohm's law is valid. So
Ha, ha,
then
ha, ha, ha.
temperature and external magnetic field has no
That
effect on memory. So then your
yeah,
Ohm's law does not work with
Ohm's law
temperature
itself doesn't.
fluctuating,
Correct, correct.
external effects, everything works.
Correct, correct. So basically, see, again. So guys, what is very crucial is that Ohm's law is essentially a linear thing, right? It's a linear response. So both of these, however, violate that. Both of these violate my linear response, right? So these are actually very crucial in sort of getting this theory to work. If so, both of these can violate my my system behaving linearly. And remember, that is also something which will cause my basic assumption of this thing to fail. This is crucial, very very crucial. So that will actually fail in the case of both of these. So that is also something which we need to realize is are cases where this actually stands falsified. I think this is something which we have to keep in mind. Okay, so this is I believe this is very important for you to know, for you to sort of have a very clear visual in front of you as you sort of deal with this. Okay. Okay, so let me just finish this part, whatever we were trying to do. Uh, just simply we will write down some. I'll just define I'll just sort of let's lay down the basic way, the premise of where we shall start the next class. And okay, so typically what we write for the weight factor. So you understand, of course, that this weight factor essentially is the susceptibility, right? This is exactly what we know as the susceptibility in our treatment of polarization, light causing any kind of response in a system. So that is what we are going to deal with later on as well. This is my GT, and let me just again write down. So this is something which I want you guys to prove, the convolution theorem. So this one, I think, Bishwajit, I had given this as an exercise last year, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is something you need to
And
prove.
asked in the exam, I think. No, you gave in the exam direct.
Okay. So this I am giving as a task. So this is directly a very quick assignment that you have to do by Monday. Very, very simple. By Monday, you have to give this. I'll send you the question. These are these chutka assignments that I'm giving. Also, like your G omega is equal to G star of minus omega. That is the crossing relation. And very simply, you have basically your E is nothing but GU, which is like P is chi. We change this chi E or whatever. Okay. Now, where we are going to, the thing that we are going to investigate is this, which we know is given for the most general case, that is where we have bound electrons. Ah, sorry. Ah, man, really. Why can't you make this rubber smaller? Right? So this is what we're going to look at next class. This is the main thing. This G omega, this is the weight factor. This is what we are going to basically look at. Remember, this is what gives you finally your refractive index, the real and imaginary parts. And those are what we are going to relate in the Kramer's chronic dispersion relations. So you know, guys, that the poles of this lie at omega equals minus I gamma by 2 plus minus root of omega 0 square minus gamma square by 4, and both poles in the negative half plane of omega, right? So this is where I will leave you with today. And very crucially, your G omega is analytic in the upper half plane. This is where we stop today. I think it is very important for you to again understand, visualize what is the thing that we are doing here. What we will again sort of try to find is whether there are, we know that this relation, this is there, this is our this is the weight factor or the susceptibility, as we saw. And what we shall try to see is whether we will have some kind of solutions of this susceptibility factor, whether there can exist if we assume that we are going to deal with the complex plane, where we try to sort of solve an integral which is linking this susceptibility, sort of an integral concerning the susceptibility. Then we come up with some extremely interesting factors are very interesting relationships which look at relate the real part and the imaginary part of the susceptibility. Okay, that is the whole crux of the dispersion relations. So think about it, and of course this you have to prove. This is very simple, but again these are things which I think are important for you to kind of keep up with what we are doing. Yeah, so any other questions on this? Let me acha, so have you guys thought of your groups and all? Very, very important, huh? Are you guys thinking of your groups? And so you got all the topics, na? So I've given 20 topics. By the way, let me make it clear that I am not going to stick at these. So if you go have a topic which you want to look at, do yourself, but it cannot be not linked to the course, of course. Okay, you cannot give a talk on nonlinear dynamics here. That is very crucial. It has to be linked to the course. So I think we have decided to do this on deadline is what, Tuesday, no?
6th
So
October.
6th October is Tuesday, right? So please stick to that because this is for your own good. Okay, please ensure that you come up with your project. I mean, sorry, your term paper by that time. Come up with your group by that time, and this part is not so. This is a bit complex, so we will spend enough time on this. We shall ensure that you get a very clear idea of what we are trying to do.
So maximum number
Okay.
of members in a group is 2.
Two, right?
I don't want 3 people here because 3 people means you'll badly divide. That's why I gave so many topics, no?
Okay, okay.
See, 3 people, matlab ki you will just not learn enough, na? I mean, it's very bad. Don't make it more than 2.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So you see, finally, you guys have to do things which benefit you the most, na? I mean,
Yes.
Priyanuj and all are saying that they alone want to do it. That is very good, right? I have no objections at all. But if you're saying that only one person wants to do, that is, I mean, sorry, 3 people want to do, that is not something which will allow
No,
good
sir, I am asking
learning.
the criteria only. I don't want.
ठीक है. Don't have 3 people.
Okay,
Sir,
sir.
Don't have 3 people.
I have something to ask.
Huh.
Since I'm not tech officially registered, but I still want to present a topic, is it okay if I do the presentation with Hitesh?
I don't know why you are not doing this course, Rohan. I mean, you are doing everything that everybody is doing. I have.
Sir, the reasons will be established in the due course of time.
Yeah, you can do it.
I
I
have
have no
I
problems.
will explain
I
you.
mean, you are doing everything that everybody is doing, and for some strange reason, you are not crediting the course. Anyway, तुम्हारा मर्जी यार. You do whatever you want.
I will explain you the reasons later, maybe.
Okay, ठीक है, करो. I don't have problems. As long as you guys, some of you learn, that is what I care. You do whatever you want. Okay, I ensure that both of
Okay.
you learn. Okay,
Okay, sir.
both of you learn. I'm going to, and as I said, if there are people who do not know LaTeX, this is the time for you to learn. Because if you give me a crappy report, your marks in 40 are going to exponentially fall. Okay, you have to give a report exactly written in the way that papers in physical review are written, and there's enough time. Overleaf, you go. Overleaf absolutely gives the ready-made format. You'd have to do nothing. Just nowadays it's become simple like anything. Just put everything, jot everything down, make it look neat. Remember, paper writing skills are something which will you don't realize how important those are. I know people who are very good researchers who have struggled all their careers because they write badly. All their lives they have struggled because they have not been able to write good papers. They have done good work, but they have never got the credit that they should have, that they deserved. That is because they did not take writing seriously, and because as a result of which they were never able to express what they discovered in their research. expressing is as important. Please understand, it is as important as doing research, especially in the world of today. You cannot communicate, the competition will just throw you out. And writing is an integral part. Do not write crappily. There are some, I will tell you, I will maybe just in one of those Friday classes, I will give you a heads up. You are scientific. Oh, you guys don't do scientific communication. No, that is very bad actually. I really don't understand, because half the uh, either students do scientific communication course in biology and all. Physics
Sir,
you
we do
don't
have
do.
a course, but
That
then
is the methods. That is
yes, sir.
scientific. That is not
No, sir.
communication, yeah.
Sir, in the
Does it teach
syllabus,
you?
there is
Uh,
paper presentation and paper writing that is there. But the instructor said he's not of the opinion of teaching it in the course because that is something
which
you
is very
learn.
bad. No, I don't agree with that. So there, that is Bhavtosh's teaching, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so has he been able to get over logic? I saw
Mm,
him.
no, no,
Is
sir.
that done?
Still,
It is still going on.
sir, no, sir. Logic is enough. Philosophy is going on.
Philosophy. Oh, that's a way. He's engrossed. I can tell you, he's absolutely engrossed in the course. I am sure he's motivating you guys as well. But no, but this paper writing is of damn great, big, huge importance. Okay, and I think it should be taught at your level. I will, in that case, maybe I will take a class. Okay, I will take a class. Maybe
Uh,
one of these Fridays I'll take a class.
Sir, regarding this all, like writing properly, you're saying this for the final report, right? Not
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. Obviously.
Tuesday.
What, Tuesday? What is there on Tuesday?
Uh,
But
you said
Tuesday
like,
is supposed to give groups, yaar. What? Are you
oh,
mad? क्या हो गया तुम्हारा? Of course, for the final report. See, there is an art of writing papers. I think you guys should know it. At least hear of it. It is very bad that you don't. I will give you a heads up. I think it's crucial. And I will ask everybody in this course. I think this 21 is some kind of sacrosanct number here. उसके ज़्यादा 23, 25 होता है. But please, everybody should learn this. How to write papers. Okay, one of these Fridays, I'll not mix it with this thing. Maybe we'll just do a course one of these. So maybe this kal to nahi hoga. Maybe the Friday after that. Let me see. I will probably take some thing on how to write a paper and how to not write. Most crucially, how to not write a paper. There are some basic things you have to follow. I'll not take 1 hour. Okay, half an hour. Well, but I have learned these over 15 years. Okay, so obviously that means that what I'm trying is a joke, but still I will anyway. What knowledge can be summed up as well. It's only that once you have the knowledge, you can sum it up well. If you don't have it, collecting that takes enormous amount of time. Okay, so one of these Fridays I will maybe take a session of what to do in writing papers and also in presenting, and I hope you will abide with that. Okay. Okay, so that small derivation of convolution theorem you need to do. चलो ठीक है, goodbye.